Hey, if we're going to preview the 2023 season, you might as well start at the top. We're talking Georgia football. We got Anthony Dasher on the line from UGAsports.com. You can catch his work on the Rivals platform for Georgia athletics. Anthony, what's going on today?
Hey, Mark, just getting ready for start of camp. A couple
I
days
tell you,
away.
is that coming up on what, Wednesday?
Thursday, first official
Thursday
day.
for the
Yeah, they're
Dogs.
all they're already at school right now, kind of beginning to put some things in. But Thursday's the first official day.
But, Kirby Smart at a couple different times has told us recruiting never stops. And
Yeah.
he's taught that lesson to Dan Mullen in the past that that never stops. So Chris Jones, a top 10 linebacker in the country, top one, roughly 100 player coming out from Virginia to play in Athens.
Yeah, he's a big kid, 6'3", 231 pounds. A little bit bigger, taller rather than what Georgia, normally, goes after as far as the middle backer goes. But he's a guy who they compare very favorably to Jamon Dumas Johnson and how good a job Jamon has done in his 3 years here. So it's a big pickup for Georgia, somebody they think they can play pretty quickly.
Let's break down the Georgia offense heading into 2023. Of course, Stetson Bennett, despite all the detractors, all the haters, all the people that said that he couldn't do it, certainly performed at the highest level, and he moves on to the NFL. We wish him the best. Hopefully he can continue to prove the doubters wrong, but he takes 2 national championships with him. The much ballyhooed quarterback battle is pretty much settled down and into the hands of Carson Beck.
Yeah, I think Carson is. I think anybody can probably tell he's going to be the guy. Although Coach Smart is yet to make it official, which I really don't suspect he'll do till probably right before kickoff against Tennessee Martin, here in about a month from now. But Carson, I understand, had a very, very strong summer, coming off a good spring, and he's still competing with Brock Vandagriff and Gunnar Stockton. But everything we've been told and understand, it's going to be Carson's job.
Got Anthony Dasher here breaking down Georgia football for us. So if you break down Vandagriff and then Beck, those 2 quarterbacks in particular, even though we haven't seen any of either one of them throw against, in meaningful games against quality opponents, how would you break down their games in regards to who brings what to the table?
Well, and Carson, I think you've got a guy who has an NFL arm. We've seen enough of him in practicing and in the what games he did play last year that he can throw the ball, can throw it a long way. He has pretty good connection with the receivers. Whereas Brock Vandagriff, maybe not throw it quite as far, but he's a lot better runner, which is something Coach Smart grew to love with Stetson Bennett. Last year, his ability to pick up yards of his legs. He's a big kid. He's like 6'3", 215 pounds. Brings another, maybe a dimension. And I think we'll see Brock, Vandagriff play a little bit. But again, I just think that Carson is more of a total package than what Brock is at this point in time.
No shot for Gunnar Stockton.
I don't think so. I mean, again, he's a quarterback. He's a lot like Brock Vandagriff, and that he's a very, very good runner. Has a very good arm. His teammates, had nothing but good things to say about him when we asked him, during the championship week and during the spring. But I just think he's behind those other 2 guys right now.
We tend to talk skill players before the offensive line, but let's flip it because, man, this offensive line is just phenomenal. It's probably been the best unit in college football the last 2 years, and it projects to be possibly the best again this year, despite the losses. And just like the defense, they move guys off to the NFL like it's nothing. Top 5 in the nation in terms of not allowing opponents into the backfield, whether that's tackles for loss or sacks. Over 200 yards rushing per game in that conference. You got the center back, Cedric Van Pan. The 2 guards are coming back in Ratledge and Truss. And that doesn't even count Marius Mims, who's probably the most talented of the bunch.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Amaris even got, was voted to the all preseason All-SEC team. He's not started but maybe 1 or 2 games in his career. But you're talking about a guy who's about 6'7", 330 pounds, and is just extremely athletic. He's going to fit right in for Warren McClendon. Warren did a good job as a starter the past 2 seasons, but Amaris gives Jordan an even bigger body, to work with. The bigger question I think is going to be at left tackle. Redshirt freshman Ernest Green Jr. and junior Austin Blasky are the 2 guys competing for the job. I suspect it will be Ernest who winds up getting the start, assuming his back is okay, which so far it's been. But Austin Blask is a guy 6', 6'6", 315 pounds, can play left tackle. He's the backup center, and he's probably going to be the backup right tackle to Marius Mims. So he'll be getting a lot of playing time as well. But as a whole, this offensive line really projects to be pretty strong as long as Ernest Green can hold down the fort, so to speak, left tackle. It's going to be a very good group.
Breaking down the Dogs with Anthony Dasher, UGAsports.com rivals. Check him out. Check out the work there. We appreciate Anthony stopping by on a regular basis to talk some Georgia football. Kenny McIntosh was one of the better backs in college football, not just running out of the backfield, but being a receiver as well. 42 catches last year. He's gone, but still plenty of guys like Deshaun Edwards leading the way. Kendall Milton, of course. And again, this Georgia running back room is just phenomenal.
It is. And I'm not sure if they have a back who can maybe do quite the things catching the ball as Kenny did last year, but they think Kendall Milton has those abilities. Deshaun Edwards, we've seen him make some, plays, taking the ball on some short pitches and that sort of thing. But the key is just going to be for these guys to stay healthy. I mean, Kendall Milton, you look at him, he's 6'1", 225 pounds, looks like he could rush for 1,500 yards, but he has not had a single season where he's made it through all the way, healthy. And this spring, he dealt with a hamstring issue. It kind of slowed him down. Didn't, practice the last 3 weeks, I believe it was, and not playing the spring game. If he can stay healthy, he could rush for 1,000 yards for Georgia this year. I think not much of a problem, but he's got to stay on the field. And so far, he hasn't been able to do that. And Deshaun Edwards, a guy who was not, I won't say not thought a lot of when he came out of high school, but just people, he was, Georgia recruited some higher level backs, and he was just kind of an afterthought for some folks. But all Deshaun has done and come in and been a very workmanlike performer, been very steady, and Georgia is really got some good use from him. Branson Robinson, who was a true freshman last year, dealing with a foot injury, and they're not sure yet if he's going to be able to go for start of the season. It's even been suggested he may not be ready to the Florida game. If that happens, that's going to put the onus on maybe true freshman Roderick Robinson to play a little bit earlier than Georgia had anticipated. We saw some good things from Roderick, who was like 6'2", 240 pounds, big kid. He might have to play a lot quicker than some people thought. And Georgia does have, Andrew Paul coming back, was a 4-star, was looking very good in fall camp last year for tearing his ACL. He's back this year, but of course, you never really know how these kids coming off ACLs are going to perform right off the bat. Sometimes it takes them an extra year to kind of get ready. So there was a little bit of a, I'm going to say uneasy. That's probably the wrong, description to put it. But I think some concerns, I'll just put it that way, if some of these injuries kind of creep up again as far as the depth goes.
During these conversations, Anthony, I always bring up the wide receivers, and then I tack on the tight ends. But this is going to be the one exception because this guy, it seems like forever ago at this point that I knew who he was because I followed the recruitment coming out of California, and it seemed like guys like Eric Gilbert, who eventually made his way to Georgia after, of course, the LSU and Florida stint to a certain extent, and then Darnell Washington were more celebrated, but it seems like forever ago that I thought this guy has to be the best tight end in the country. And then of course, he fulfilled all of that. And he is just, it's not even a question.
No, it's not. We probably would have heard a lot more about Brock coming out of high school, except he was one of those COVID babies. He didn't play his senior year in high school in California. So there's still a lot of people who not really understand what he could really do, because he's a guy in high school who played like 4 different positions. He even played quarterback, I think, as a sophomore. They used to run the wishbone at the school he was at. So, he can do a lot of things well, and what he has done is just really reinvented the position at Georgia. I mean, he's done some things for the Bulldogs that I've never, all the years I've been covering this team, never dreamed a tight end would be. And it's really unfair to call him a tight end, again, because he does so many other things well. I think we've spoken on this show before about the fact Georgia will use him on jet sweeps, and he even lined up at running back during the spring when Georgia was going to do some of these injury, deals. And today, as we record this, he was one of the nominees for the Maxwell Award, which goes to the best overall player, in the country. And I don't believe a tight end has ever won that. I would not put it past Brock to, maybe not win it, but make a pretty good little push if he has the kind of year people think he will.
Now we'll talk to wide receivers. And of course, they get tremendous transfers coming in from Missouri and Mississippi State. Dominic Levette's probably the best.
I would think so. I mean, Dominic has come in and really been a spark. Really, from the moment he stepped on campus, and you're going to see him step in at the slot. He'll be opposite, Lad McConkey, who had a great sophomore year last season. And you got Ra Thomas coming over Mississippi State. Put him with Marcus Roseby, Saint. Arian Smith had the long touchdown against Ohio State. And with class they've got coming in, three talented freshmen. Dylan Bell, who's another big receiver that did some good things as a true freshman. And I really think from a skill standpoint position, as a group, this may be the best group of receivers that Coach Smart has had since he's been in Athens. They've had some very good receivers in the past. It's only been like one or two. This year, you can probably count 4 guys who I think have a real shot to be an all SEC type performer. Everything goes well.
Anthony, before I let you go, this offseason should obviously be one of celebration, and it has been, but it wasn't long after the national championship win that the issues off the field started. And what is strange is that we're all accustomed to what those issues are with particular programs. They sometimes involve grades, not showing up for class, drugs, different things. These are all driving related incidents. It's just crazy. It's, if it wasn't so serious, it would be amusing, but it's not, because it is so serious. But everything's driving related.
Yeah, and it is a problem too. I mean, Coach Smart has admitted that. I mean, the players themselves that we talked to at media days have said, look, we know this is a problem. We just got to do better. And now I've got a little conspiracy theory about all this stuff. I think this is, in a way, a backwards way, perhaps, maybe related to NIL. You got guys making money to get these bigger, faster cars, and a lot of them want to see how fast they can go. So, again, not making excuses for anybody. I mean, what the arrest things have happened. You can't have that. You can't put other innocent people's lives in danger by your behavior. I mean, that cannot happen, and hopefully that's something Coach Smart will finally, get a handle on, because if not, that's the kind of thing that could really, bring a program down in a lot of respects. So that's something I know that they're trying to do. They bring in speakers. They do everything humanly possible to get guys to listen. They just have some hard-headed knuckleheads who are just, having an issue with that, it seems like right now.
Anthony Dasher, UGAsports.com. Get on over there. Check out Anthony's work. We so much appreciate him stopping by, breaking things down for us. Anthony, thanks for stopping by. And we're going to go to that stalwart defense next time we get together.
Hey, we'll do it.